Do you ever wonder, why do I always seem to give so much more than I get? All I want is to be appreciated and loved. Is that asking too much? Why do all the jerks get the hot girls while I get stuck in the friend zone? When will it ever be my turn? If this sounds like you, you're in the right place. Welcome to The Nice Guy Show. This is the podcast that asks the question, how do I break free from the nice guy syndrome so I never have to come in last again? Now here are your hosts, Faisal Khokhar and Chuck Chapman.
Welcome to the Nice Guy Show. My name is Chuck Chapman. I'm here with my co-host, Ari Graff, who is a clinical psychologist. I am a certified licensed therapist. And our other co-host, you might recognize if you've watched us regularly, isn't here today. Faisal Khokhar. Faisal's out having the time of his life. We've been seeing all kinds of photos and stuff of this guy's like driving yachts and, wearing his little captain's hat and stuff. He's been having a great time. So hopefully he'll post some of those photos at theniceguyShow.com for you guys to take a look at. Today, we want to talk about a topic that I think every nice guy I've ever met has dealt with, myself included, which is the topic of neediness. Neediness is that cringy thing that you just know it when somebody's needy, don't you? And I think neediness is something that maybe needs to be killed. What do you think, Ari? Should we kill it, or
I'm ready to kill it. I've been ready to kill it my whole life. Please take me out of my misery.
Right. Yeah. So what is it about the nice guy and neediness, do you think, that makes us in that sort of cringy kind of category when it comes to love and women and sex?
Well, nice guys bury their feelings.
Yeah.
And they're scared of their feelings. So I think that's a big part of it. And we don't want to ask for what we need. We don't necessarily even know what we need. We just feel needy. It could just feel needy without much articulation of what the hell that is. So, like,
I think it's a great point.
What's your definition of neediness?
Yeah, well, I think that's a great point. Is that oftentimes, when working with a guy, one of the things I'll ask him up front is like, "What do you want?" And they generally look at me like, a deer in headlights of like, I don't know what I want, and I think the idea of wants and needs are very similar. So if you don't actually know what you want or what you need, you just have this empty hole in you that you're trying to fill, and it comes off as being needy. My definition of neediness is, well, let me explain where I think that all human behavior is, normal human behavior. It's that when a behavior becomes hypersensitive or hyperactive, that it becomes a problem. So we've all felt depressed. We've all felt anxious. We've all felt even paranoid. Oh, I wonder if those people are talking about me. But it's when it becomes hyper aware or hyperactive in our world, and that's what we focus on, that's when it becomes a problem. And so I think neediness is actually taking something that is, normal, having a need, and making it hyperactive, that I need other people to validate me. So it's kind of walking around almost like you're, an electrical appliance looking for a place, somebody to plug you in. It's like, or was that Dr. I think it's Dr. Seuss, are you my mama kind of thing, like walking around. Are you my mom? Are you my girlfriend? Are you my girlfriend? Will you be my girlfriend?
That's right. Yeah. It goes to like a dump truck or a tractor.
Yeah.
Are you my mom?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's kind of why I see neediness is just this hyper sense of taking our need, even and when we don't know what our need is, especially, then it's just like, okay, are you gonna fill me? Are you gonna fill me? Are you gonna fill me?
Yeah. my definition, yeah, that needs are normal, whether it's for hunger, attention,
Yeah.
affection, sex. Um, I think neediness is normal. It's the excessiveness of it. I think everybody feels needy sometimes, where they want a little extra something now. It's the excessiveness of it. Is it something where you're staying in that state for long periods, like hours or
Sure.
days?
Yeah.
Um, like I think, people want to connect like over the phone. I mean, at least back when people talked on the phone.
Talk on the phone.
But
Yeah.
like I was thinking of an example of mine from college, which is that may be the height of my neediness peak,
Yeah.
if you will. I my best friends, they didn't go to the same college. They're twins.
Hmm.
We've been best friends our whole lives, and I felt so needy and lonely and anxious, and I didn't have that many friends my freshman year, and we ended up, they would call me, one of them, they'd take turns each night. They would call me and we'd talk for like an hour. And it was a good
Yeah.
conversation, but it was also, there was an understanding that like Ari needs to talk to someone and talk about how difficult things are. And like, you know, we love each other as friends. We're still best friends, but like they were they were like fulfilling my neediness. And in retrospect, I wish I had more tools. And I'm grateful to them that they would want to do that. But I think, um, you know, that's an example of peak neediness for me.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any
Well,
examples?
I'm just gonna say I think that that's a great point in that where neediness I think shows up is in the need for like we all have human needs, right? And I think our number one emotional need is the need for connection. When we're not connecting with somebody, then we're feeling lonely. And when you feel lonely, and it's sort of like, if you haven't had anything to eat for 3 or 4 days, you're going to be famished. You're going to be super hungry. So when there's, food put in front of you, you're going to eat in a way of like, gorging yourself because you're so empty. And so I think that human need for connection, um, and relationship with others can be part of that neediness, you know and so the point is, like with your story, it's like, okay, I need to find other resources for connection besides just these two guys. you know if I'm going to, otherwise I'm going to become dependent on these guys. And I think that's what neediness in general is it's a dependency on somebody else to fill that need of loneliness. you know um I
It's a,
think my
it's a,
example.
I was just going to say, yeah, I'm not okay without somebody meeting that feeling or
Right.
fixing that feeling.
Right. And then I think it's you make the other person responsible for filling that. Like, you should just bring me my food on a regular basis. I shouldn't have to go out and get anything to eat, right? And when you stop bringing my food, then I'm like, "Hey, where's my food?" And I start being, kind of demanding or passive aggressive. And yeah, I think that I can definitely relate to that. I'm thinking that when, like, looking back on my my first marriage and early relationships, I really needed somebody to validate me. This feeling that all nice guys have: I'm unlovable, unacceptable just the way that I am. So if you tell me I'm lovable and acceptable, and I've not heard that, or I don't believe that, it's like, oh, that felt so good for a moment and then it went away. So I need you to
Mhm.
tell me again. The classic covert contract of telling someone you love them, not because you love them, but because you want to hear "I love you" back. You're trying to get something from the other person. That's what neediness is. I'm not trying to give you something, I'm trying to get something from you. So Yeah, and I think there's all kinds of small examples. I can't think of, all of them, but I know there's all kinds of small examples of just wanting validation from the others, from other people, so that I wouldn't feel bad about myself. So
You were mentioning one earlier with your ex.
yeah. When we weren't recording, I was telling Ari this story of this was probably so my wife left me, and it was pretty sudden, very sudden. And what I didn't know was she was planning this. And one of the things that she was doing to plan this was she had rented an apartment and even furnished the apartment without me knowing. And then when she left, uh, like it was just like a couple days later after she left, I had obviously gone over to her apartment because we share a daughter and, wanted to make sure it was safe and all that kind of stuff. And I noticed that they didn't have in their little eating area, a table and chairs. And so uh, I was at a thrift store and there was a table and chair set there that was like the right size. And so I bought it for them and brought it over to her apartment. But before I brought it over, I actually reupholstered the chairs. Like like I was like, I gotta make this thing look great. And I remember justifying it in my head, be like, well, I want my daughter to have a place to eat, and maybe there's some truth in that. But I think the deeper truth was my my resource for telling me that I'm good was gone. And I just wanted her to like, be appreciative.
Mhm.
It was not a gift out of the purity of my heart. Let's just say
Yeah.
that I was looking for something in return, and that was some kind of validation, some kind of like, grateful, even to the point of like, oh my God, what did I do? This guy's so amazing. Why did I leave him?
It's a
Something
very
like that.
sweet gesture and heartbreaking to hear and kind of sad.
It's sad. It is sad, but it's a sweet gesture,
Yeah.
but it wasn't coming from a place of purity.
Hmm.
I wasn't doing it to be sweet. I was doing it to get something, and I think
Hmm.
that's the difference between, you know, uh, giving. It's the giving to get. I want something in return. What about you? You have any stories of your neediness?
Oh, sure. Um, I mean, when I was starting out as a psychologist and dealing with my own clients, um, you know, if a client seemed unhappy with me,
Mm,
um, even over email, or wasn't paying me on time, and then I'm worried about paying my bills. I'm worrying about my competence. Like, that's how kind of insecure and fragile I was. I mean, this is about 15 years ago now, but that's how I entered my marriage, is kind of in this state of really being unsure of myself. Um, Even after I'd gone and become a psychologist, who's, if you're a psychologist, you're supposed to have everything figured out.
right?
Um, and here she was. She's not a psychologist. She's just finishing up college, and she's got
Mm,
to uh, manage my emotions, my insecurity. So
yeah.
I was very needy. I was wanting her to talk through all of these situations with clients with me, um, wanting her to reassure me that things are going to be okay, that I am competent, and that's the kind of thing that works briefly, but it doesn't provide any sustained kind of feeling of comfort or confidence, which I think
Hmm.
is another aspect of the neediness issue, is that if you are struggling with neediness, then when someone meets that need, you're probably not going to internalize it or really let it sustain you.
Hmm.
So I think that's part of what neediness is a signal about, is that I need to work on the ways that I actually take in things from other people, or I need to understand how I can give to myself and feed myself. That, you know, neediness is really a signal. Okay, I need to course correct probably, or I need to develop something in myself. So that's something that took me a while to figure out.
Yeah. Yeah. I think neediness is the junk food of the ego. You know,
I
it
like that.
doesn't sustain. It just, it's like, oh, it tastes really good. But then
I'm
I don't.
picturing a T-shirt. Can we make a T-shirt of that?
Yeah. Neediness is the junk food of the ego. It's the Doritos of the ego.
The Doritos of the ego.
Doritos of the ego. Okay, but we digress.
That was actually making me think of another example of peak neediness in college. I would eat either a medium pizza or like a large burrito at midnight every night. So this was like my midnight meal. This was after having a Mountain Dew and a couple of candy bars. So every night,
Every night,
every
every night.
night, without I didn't fail at that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so, but that I can recognize now. You know, this is a way that I've been eating to meet emotional needs.
Yeah, it's a great way that it shows up, isn't it? That hunger, right? Of just that wanting to feel taken care of, nurtured, comforted. You know, um, yeah, makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
What are your go-tos? Are you an emotional eater? Are you
I am an emotional eater. I think for a really long time, alcohol was my drug of choice. As you were saying that, I was like, well, when I was in college at midnight, I was drinking a 6-pack. But I've been sober now for 13 years, so that's no longer the thing that I go to. But the thing I think I often go to is I get in my head. I start thinking about all of the things that are going wrong or what I'm not getting, and I think I can actually become addicted to the feeling of, like, a pity party. And that's a sign that I'm not actually nurturing my own needs, because I just, I'm thinking about all of the things that aren't going well, and all of that. But food is probably the one that now that I struggle with the most in terms of, uh, you know uh, that feeling when you're not even hungry, but you are looking for something to eat just because you want to feel that pleasure of the food.
Yeah, I love chocolate. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm kind of a chocolate bitch.
All right.
You're learning new things about me all the time.
You're right. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
what's your go-to with food?
Uh, I mean, my drug of choice with food is always pizza. Always, hands down, going to be pizza. I'm more of a savory, although I love the sweets. I'm more of a savory kind of. I'm typically drawn to more of the savory pizzas, tacos, stuff, the saltiness.
Uh-huh.
Pepperoni. That kind of fatty, salty stuff. Yeah, if there's
Umami.
a if there's a slice of pizza and a chocolate sundae, I'm gonna eat the pizza. And then I'm gonna eat the sundae. But
Right.
yeah. So what do we do about this, Ari? What do we do about how do we change this?
How do
What
we
have you
kill it?
done? How do we kill it? What have you done?
Well, I think, for the longest time I was trying to just get rid of the neediness through other people, kind of like what we've been talking about through dependency. Um,
Mm-hmm.
one of the key things that shifted for me was discovering mindfulness meditation, which for anybody who doesn't practice, I thought it was the most boring thing one could ever do, is to try to sit still and not think about anything. But that isn't really what mindfulness is about. Part of what mindfulness is about, it's about being present with yourself. It's doing it non-judgmentally. So it's teaching you how to be with yourself as you are, including whatever feelings are there. So if you're feeling needy, it's teaching you, oh, I can actually just be present with this, even for a few seconds. But a few seconds is something that can grow. It's teaching you a different relationship to your feelings. So that is why I think it is a key thing to have in your repertoire for neediness, is to just be able to sit with your own feelings, your own experience, realize you aren't going to die just because you felt that way. And that in turn is a confidence building thing. Oh, I could just sit with that for a few seconds or a few minutes. Oh, I actually don't feel as bad as I did a few minutes ago. Oh, maybe this isn't all that I thought it was. So that is one of the key things for me. Journaling too, it's another way to observe myself. It's another way to tend to my thoughts and feelings, and then practicing different types of journaling, like around gratitude, around letting go. These are ways that I change my emotional state and even my physical state, so that can transform neediness. So those are some of the major practices that I use. What about you?
Yeah, I love those. So, and mindfulness is a great one. Um, I think neediness, like you said at the beginning, comes from a lot of times having a low self esteem or low self worth. And that one of the ways that we build our own self esteem is by doing esteemable acts. The way that we do esteemable acts is things that are good for us and good for others. Competence and confidence go hand in hand. If I'm not competent at something, I won't have confidence at it. So if there's something that is missing, it's my responsibility to go fill that need. So I might have, let's say, for example, put me in a situation where, I have to do accounting. Well, I'm not going to have a lot of confidence about that. That's just not something that I'm very confident about because I'm not competent about it. You know, but if I were to take a bunch of classes and really study it and gain some competence in it, then my confidence would also go up.
I could
So
never,
when
I could never get good at accounting. I'm
I can, yeah, I don't
convinced.
think I can either. That's why I hire somebody, right?
Right.
But but this similarly is that I forget which rule it is. I should know this because I wrote the No More Mr. Nice Guy 30-day recovery journal, available on Amazon for $12.99. Shameless plug. Um, that I think it's like rule 4 or 5 in there. Somebody look it up and comment in the comment section. You're the only person on the planet responsible for your needs, wants, and happiness. And I remember reading that for the first time and thinking, oh my gosh, like what a true gem of, once I start to understand that I'm the only person on the planet responsible to meet my needs, then I stop looking outside of myself. Now, it doesn't mean that other people can't help me, right? But if I'm looking for other people to meet my need all of the time and then they let me down, then what that's going to do is that's going to hit that old wound of, I'm not okay, I'm not lovable and acceptable just the way that I am. But if I become responsible for meeting my own needs, then then I can nurture myself. We've been talking a lot lately about the masculine feminine polarity and
Mhm.
the idea of nurturing your feminine, your internal feminine. And I think the
Your inner bitch.
neediness, your inner bitch, right? Yeah. Nurture the bitch. Uh, that internal part of you that needs nurturing. It's like you were saying with your example of your friends at college. Like, I needed to feel nurtured, I needed to feel connected, I needed to feel, those are all normal natural needs. Yeah. When I become responsible for that, then I say, okay, now I'm going to go out and I'm going to meet new people, I'm going to start meeting other people, and building a network or friendship with the people that are closer in my neighborhood or whatever, so that I can meet my own need. And I think that's the one way I found anyway, is to kill my neediness, so to speak, is to understand that if I have a need, it's my responsibility to go out and meet that need.
I think, yeah, you hit it right on the head. This is the neediness killer, if there is one, is this crucial shift in mindset to other people are responsible for meeting my needs to I'm responsible. It's a
Mhm.
radical shift for a lot of
It
men.
is.
It sure was for me, but that is a game changer. Once you accept that, which could take some time, you'll be so much happier,
Mhm.
so much more confident, so much more in control. And I think, you were also getting at, the need for connections and male friendships. We're all big on men's groups as a part of
Mhm.
being nice guy coaches. Like this is something where men often aren't doing enough, or we're not taught to do this for ourselves, is just creating plenty of close male friendships or mentorships or relationships, those relationships that are going to nurture you. We
Right.
used to be in tribes uh, back in the day where we'd have uh, different kinds of men available to nurture us and
Mhm.
teach us to be masterful. And
Mhm.
now we're expected to just get that from one father.
Mhm.
And even if they're a great father, they might not provide that.
Yeah, or they're busy. They're out in the world trying to make money and provide food, shelter, and all that kind of things. And so but yeah, to your point too of the tribal times, and one of the things I think we're missing in our culture is a rite of passage for men. In tribal times, there's this as a child, you are needy. You depend on everybody around you, right? But because we don't really have a formal rite of passage, we grow up, we're just boys in men's bodies oftentimes. We just expect everyone to meet our needs just like they did when I was a kid. But when there's the shift, that mental shift of like, okay, today you're a man, which means you are responsible for meeting your own needs at this point forward. And I think that's just missing in the way that we live today, and something I would like to see come back, especially for young men, is a formal rite of passage for boys, so that they can know that they're men. Um,
Are we going to do
yes,
that? Are we going to provide that for people?
that would be one of my dreams at some point. Is to have that. I did my whole, I did my thesis on male rite of passage,
I didn't know that.
and
Okay.
yeah, and why it's important, and it's something that I've wanted to do. I've been through my own formal rite of passage with a men's group, um, and that was really helpful for me. So I would like to see that happen at some point somehow, that we're doing rites of passages for men
We've got
and
Integration
for
Nation now.
yeah, yeah. For those of you that don't know about Integration Nation, we'll put a link in the description. Ari and I are part of Integration Nation, which is uh, Dr. Robert Glover's Integration Nation. Dr. Robert Glover obviously wrote No More Mr. Nice Guy, and it's an online community of uh, guys, and we are striving to make it the largest online community of men who can support each other. Um, and it's a new startup that we've done. It's been out for a couple of months now. Membership is growing. If you're interested in that, just go to integrationnation.net. And again, we'll put a link in the description. And actually, uh, the the next cohort of people that's available starts real soon, where you can sign up and be part of that. So check it out.
Man, we got to get better at promoting that shit.
Yeah.
So,
Nice
and
guys
Faisal,
nice guys hate self-promotion.
that will be another episode. Is
Yeah.
self-promotion. Yeah,
Yeah.
bragging, talking about our
Bragging. The
accomplishments.
sacred brag. Yeah. Yeah.
So Faisal is also an Integration Nation.
Yes. Faisal's also there. And we each run a group there. So if you're interested in working with us more directly at Integration Nation, Ari runs a group. What days are your groups?
Mine is Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Central time.
Tuesdays, 7 p.m. Central. And mine is Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Pacific time. And I think Faisal's on Tuesday, but I don't know what the time is.
It's like Tuesday morning for people in the
Yeah.
States.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of coping with neediness or doing something different about it, we have a tribe or brotherhood call every night on Integration Nation. So this is a positive thing you can do if you're feeling needy, if you're feeling hungry for connection, especially with other men. This is a good way to do it, and you can even process it.
Yeah. Sorry, what are we going to talk about next time?
Next time, I think we've killed neediness. I think we're going to kill addictions next time.
Addictions. Excellent. Addicted to what in particular? Anything?
Well, is there something about the nice guy that tends to create addictions?
Well, I think the nice guy is oftentimes addicted to comfort.
Okay.
And I think
that's
oftentimes
like the central
yeah, I
theme
think
of it.
yeah, we're addicted to comfort, we're addicted to pleasure, and that oftentimes when we're addicted, those addictions, whether it's alcohol, gambling, shopping, sex, drugs, whatever it is, it's all about trying to find comfort. And so I think ultimately nice guys, people in general, are addicted to comfort. And so maybe we'll focus on that. We'll focus on some other addictive aspects of the nice guy. But one of the things that I've learned, and Dr. Glover makes clear in No More Mr. Nice Guy, is that nice guys struggle with addiction and have kind of that addictive personality oftentimes. So let's talk about that.
Okay. I like this. And the whole comfort versus challenge that nice guys struggle with.
Yep.
This is a favorite topic.
Good. Yeah.
Right.
And Faisal should be back with us next week if he makes it back safely and doesn't, wreck the yacht out in the I don't know where he's at. Do you know where he is?
I don't know.
I don't know. It looked tropical. All right, guys.
Well, thank you for listening, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. Make sure you comment, subscribe, like, and we'll see you next week on The Nice Guys Show.
You've been listening to The Nice Guys Show, the podcast that helps nice guys move past their insecurities and fears into the fullness of their masculine strength and confidence. Be sure to like and subscribe to our podcast and check out the website niceguyshow.com for more information on how to connect with Chuck and Faisal. Until next time, keep living your best life.